Everyone, and welcome. We are doing our Tech Changemaker workshop. So I'm Cooper Naylor, and
My name is Paige Naylor, and I am the program assistant for Tech Changemaker, Auburn University with Alabama 4-H. And today, Cooper is going to present a resume workshop for you. It is developing your resume using Microsoft Word. What we do with Tech Changemakers, we take 4-H youth and train them to go out into their communities and present workshops such as these. This year, it's all about workforce development and resources. So we're excited to have you today. And if you want to stick around till the end, Cooper will answer questions for you. And also, it's very important, we have a QR code at the end. If you can do us a favor and scan the QR code, and it's just a short little survey there, that would help us out greatly. I'm going to turn it back over to Cooper now.
all right. Well, we're going to get right into the curriculum. Oh, I got it right at the end. Oops. Should go back. We're experiencing some little tech. Okay, here we go. So, using Word to write professional resumes, and like we said, I'm Cooper Naylor, and so we're going to get right into it. So, first of all, what is a resume? A resume is a document used to show a person's background, their skills, and their accomplishments. So, the way I like to say it is that a resume is a good way for an employer to, get to figure out who this person is and maybe some more stuff about them that the employer would really like to know about yourself. So, parts of a resume. You got your contact information, you got your objective, you got education, you got your work and related experience, your skills, and your references. It's very important you have all of these. And I will say this, the references, one thing that I've learned recently is that you can always, have it where people can ask you for the references. You don't have to have that on the resume, but they can, if you have it before further requests by the employer, then you have to give out your references. So most of the time, people want to put references on there just so that the employer doesn't have to ask for the references. So first, we're going to look at contact information. So you want to have your first and last name. You don't want to have any kind of nicknames because when you think of nicknames, some of them could be a little inappropriate for the job that you're going to. So you want to make sure you have no nicknames. Plus, if your employer were to call you up, you would want to be known as your full name, with your first and last name. So for me, for example, I would like to be known as Cooper Naylor by my employer. I don't want to be known as some other nickname. I just want to be known as Cooper Naylor. And then you got your mailing address. By all means, you want to avoid the P.O. boxes so that if they have to mail you anything, you want to have it mailed straight to you. You don't want it going to a P.O. box. It's just harder to get to. So you want to have your mailing address. And then you have your phone number on there. I know most people know what their phone number is, but, always a good idea to double check, look on your phone, make sure you know what your phone number is, just so that you got all of that out of the way so you can make sure that everything's good on that front. And then you want your personal email. You do not want to use a work email because when you think of a work email, it can be a little inappropriate because let's say you are looking for a job and you put, for instance, USDA.gov. Well, then this other employer may be thinking, well, they already have a job, and then your employer already will see that and be like, wait, you're looking for a job? So it's very inappropriate to use a work email on your resume. Make sure you use your personal email. And when you do, It's got to be one you check regularly, and you want to make sure that it's something that it's not, like, for instance, I wouldn't want to use like something inappropriate. I guess um something that could be a little provocative you don't want to use at all. So I would say, well, if I'm using me for an example, I want to use cooper.naylor@gmail.com. Something basic and something you're going to check regularly. So this is a little bit of a guessing game kind of thing right here. So it says which contact information is most appropriate for a resume. So in the chat, you can put in there what you find that is wrong with this. So um, the first line is going to be the person's name. So I will give you about a few seconds to look at that and see which one's name is incorrect for your resume. Okay. Well, all right. So we're going to move forward. And so the name, the one that is wrong, is Mary Auntie Cook. Yes, Donna Shanklin got it right. It is Auntie. You don't want to put that in there because that could be inappropriate um for the workforce. I mean, it's given a nickname, and she probably wouldn't want to go by Auntie whenever she's trying to get a job. So it's most appropriate to just say Mary Cook. Or on the other side, you got Billy Bob Frank. Even though the name, it's a little funny, and it'll be really funny for the employer to say. It probably is his name, so that is the one you want to use. Also, one thing I would probably give him some advice from is I would probably put like Bill Frank or probably Billy Frank. I probably wouldn't add Bob in there. That's just me personally, but either way. So next one is the next line below that. We've got 1701 Ingram Road for Mary Auntie Cook, and we've got P.O. Box 521 for Billy Bob Frank. So which one is which one do you see that is wrong here? Yes. So the P.O. Box is wrong. So you don't want to use a P.O. Box. You would rather use 1701 Ingram Road. Like I said before, it's more of a direct way for an employer to get whatever they're trying to get mailed to you. It's a more direct way to getting it. And the P.O. Box is harder. But I will say, there is one caveat to that, and that is if you only have a P.O. Box, if you don't have a street address, and so you have to go with the P.O. Box if it's the only thing possible. But if you have a street address, you want to use that street address most of the time. Because like I said, P.O. Box, it's harder to get to as far as for the person to go pick up whatever they're trying to get from the employer. So next is the city and state. Which one is correct right here? Mm-hmm. Yes, that comment is correct. You, especially like you said, especially if your carrier doesn't deliver to your house or you live with roommates, that be better to have a PO box if that is the case. But then street address is most of the time what you want to use. So okay. Yes, so one does not have the zip code. So you want to always add in your zip code because if I believe correctly, the the mail carrier probably will not deliver the package if there is no zip code. So you want to always include your zip code whenever you are trying to get your information as far as where you live. That's always important to have the zip code. So that is one thing that you want to remember is that um you want to whenever you have your house and wherever you're living, make sure that you always remember what is your where you live, like what city you live in, what state, and the zip code. Very important stuff when it comes to the mail service. All right, so the mobile number, which one is correct on this one? So yes, Mary is right. So the way they do this is that Mary's is correct because it has the little brackets between 919 and it doesn't have the dash in between 919 and an 848. That's the more appropriate way. Now I will say they will accept both both ways of doing it, but it looks more professional the way Mary Cook has hers. And then lastly, this one should probably be a little bit of a giveaway because I kind of use an example of this, but either way, the email's right here. Which one is correct? Yes, so the one with Gmail is correct. And so the only thing that we do say is that she has anticooks at gmail.com. That may be your personal email. So that's probably what you are wanting to use to get to Mary Cook. But the anti part may not want to use that. I mean, she probably would want to create a new email and check it regularly where it's just like Mary Cooks or Mary Cook at gmail.com, something like that. But Billy Bob Frank, he uses bfrank at usda.gov. And like I said at the beginning, that it's just very inappropriate because, for one, the person who is looking to hire you be like, oh, he's already got a job. But then the employer may be looking at that, like USDA, maybe looking at it like, oh, he's looking for a job? And it would cause so many issues where if you just use your personal email, things we've solved. Plus, think about it this way. Let's say he did get fired and he's looking for a job. He may not even have access to that email anymore. So it would be much more appropriate if he has a personal email. All right, moving on to the next slide. So now we're going to look at the objective. So first, you want to start out by writing a brief statement to summarize the goal of your job search. So this should be no more than 2 sentences. And if possible, tailor it to the job to which you are applying. So we got some examples below. So you want to start out with like some examples. I am a hard worker with excellent customer service skills, looking to apply my education and background to whatever job it may be. Another one is certified, and then you tell your position, looking to join whatever company it is as a part of the whichever department. And then you can also say detail-oriented individual seeking to help whichever company achieve its goals as whichever position you are applying for. So what you can do now is if you have a sheet of paper next to you then you can write out an objective for yourself, or you can put something in the chat for us to see what you've come up with. But this is just to help you out with any kind of, just, it gives an idea for the employer as to, okay, I know you saw this job listing, but why do you want to have the job? This is just a good way for them to understand, are you just looking to get paid? Which, I mean, if you're wanting to work, you're wanting to get paid, obviously. But is it more than just wanting to get paid? Are you going to have a passion in doing this? Because from personal experience, if it's something that you are passionate about and it's something you actually want to do, then that person's probably going to work better than, let's say, someone who wants. I mean, good example here is someone who probably wants to do technology but is in like an agriculture business job. Probably not going to work out good if that's not what that said person wants to do. So that's just an example I like to give as to, just tailor it to however you feel. And so that's just a good example, I think. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on. All right. Your education. So you want to list any degrees or certifications in order, starting with the most recent. So you want to be sure to include where you received the degree or certificate and the year that you received it. If you were on any type of honor roll, you want to brag about it because it is very important. You got on an honor roll, and quite frankly, it's very impressive. And so make sure that you brag on it. Another thing you can list on here, if you are involved with 4-H, you want to brag on that as well, because 4-H and all the stuff that 4-H provides is going to be looked highly upon by employers. So you want to list anything you've done in 4-H. And near the end, I'm going to show you what my resume looks like. It's got a lot of 4-H stuff. So you will see what I'm talking about and why it's so highly viewed. So that's just a little bit about education. Now we'll move on to our next portion. So another kind of guessing kind of situation. So this is which is most appropriate to list on a resume. So you've got a bunch of options right here. So we've got 2020 Southwest High School Diploma, GPA 2.35. You got 2023, whichever community college, Associate's Degree, Information Systems. You got 2024, whichever university, BS in Information Technology, graduated with honors. You have 2024, whichever university, BS in Information Technology, graduated with honors. You got 2023, whichever community college, Associate's Degree, Information Systems, and you got 2020 Southwest High School Diploma. So take a second and kind of look at it and put in the chat which one you think is incorrect. Because this one, I will say, first time I looked at this one, it kind of caught me up by surprise. But after looking at it, I figured out what was the mistake here. So I'll give you all a second to look over it and see which one is incorrect. All right, yes. So you really should not use a GPA if it is under 3.0. So the one that is wrong is the 2020 Southwest High School Diploma, GPA 2.35. Because the GPA, with it being 2.35, it looks very weak. And the employer's going to look at that and be like, oh, this person didn't really do that good in school. How are we supposed to trust that Because, I mean, let's say it's a job where critical thinking is a very important part. Let's say this person really isn't that good at critical thinking, and that's shown through the GPA, then it's not going to look all that good. So that's the one you want to make sure that you don't put on there. Although, if it is a GPA higher than 3.0, it could look really good. So, like, if you have a GPA that's really, really good, you definitely want to put it on there. But if it's not good, then don't list it at all. That's just a good thing to remember. All right, so work and related experience. So you want to list your jobs and work experience. Start with your most recent or current position. So for each job, list at least 2 major duties that you were responsible for and the dates you were employed. So kind of take a minute or a moment to think about your work history and the major duties that you were responsible for and just write it down. This is just a good time to kind of think about what you've done with your job and some major duties. All right. And while y'all are finishing, I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. So now we look at, okay. So now we're going to look at the references. So you want to list people that an employer can contact that can speak to your work history and work ethic, which can include past employers, teachers, leaders in the community. And then do not list friends or family members unless you have worked directly for or with them. So it is okay to say references are available upon request on your resume. I said that before. I will say, personally speaking, I think it looks better if you have the references already on the resume, and it saves the trouble of having them having to ask, hey, could we see some references? It's just easier because they got it right there and like, oh, they got it for me. And so it's right here on the resume. So if we want to contact this person and ask about, let's say, ask about me and talk about anything that I've done with my work experience, then it's so much easier that they have the references already on the resume. It's just easier, simple, and it can just get done so quickly compared to if you don't have the references already on there. Then, all right, so now we're getting into the the Microsoft Word portion of this. So this is going to show you how to put together the resume and just some things to remember. So what you can see is it's showing you where the font type is at, where the font size, and then you can change the font color. You can make it bold with an underline. You can do some italics and then just regular bold to your text. And then this is just another portion of it. It shows where the bullets are at, your numbered list, your aligned text, and then line spacing. So now I'm going to get my resume pulled up real quick for you. All right, let's see. There we go. So, it's being a little slow with me right now, but either way, that is the resume right there. And as you can see, I've got a lot of information right here on the resume. So as you can see up here, I've got my contact information, and I got my education up here, and then some skills, and I got some hobbies. And of course, this right here is actually tailored to the senior achievement competition for 4-H. So as you can see, I've got it, and I didn't actually use a template here. I just put this together myself. So as you can see, it is jam-packed with a lot of information. So what we can do now is we can show you where to find, or I think through the slides we may be able to find where it'll show us the. All right, here we are. So on this slide, it has information about how to find some templates. So up here at the top, you've got your search bar, and then right underneath it is some kind of keywords to find it. Also, if you click new, so I'm gonna go back to Microsoft Word on my screen. Give it a second. Should come back up in a second. There we go. All right. So I can click new right here, and I can actually scroll down, and right as I come, here is a bold modern resume right here. So we can click on that, and we can create from that. So it's going to download your template from here, and see, it's going to get you a picture. It can get your name real big, your job title, and it's got a profile for you, your contact information, hobbies, and your education and work experience, and your skills. Also note that some of the wording for your headers are going to be different in Microsoft Word from this from these slides we put together. So do keep in mind that. So I mean, so that is something to remember whenever you are getting into Microsoft Word. So that's just a little bit of a look at Microsoft Word, and I'm not going to save this. No, come back here. Come back to y'all right here. And so that is the conclusion of the workshop. So as you can see down below, it says please scan the QR code at the end of the presentation. So we are at the end of the presentation. So please scan the QR code and let us know that you have participated. I'm going to leave that up for about a minute or so that you get time to scan that QR code. But this just helps us keep up with who all's done the workshops, and it's just a really nice way to be able to keep up with who's been here with us, who we've contacted with. Just good information to know all around. So I'll give you all a couple more seconds. And then once you've scanned it, if you will, just put in the chat that you have scanned it and you're ready for me to move on to our next portion, which would be the question and answers portion. So just let me know whenever y'all are good for me to move on. All right. So now, if you have any questions, this is your opportunity now. And so also, if you have any questions for my mom, who is over the Tech Changemakers program here in the state of Alabama, you can ask her questions as well. I'm here to answer any questions you may have with the resume and whatever. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And I can go back to us here real quick. All right, we are back on camera. So if you have any questions, you can let us know right now. Of course, like I showed you, I worked on that resume back in the summer, I believe, getting it set up for senior achievement. So, all right, here is question. So if we miss the beginning, will we be able to watch it later somehow? Yes, you will be able to. I believe on Facebook it should stay up publicly, and then on YouTube as well, on Saber Broadcast Network, you'll be able to find it as well. So you will be able to find this right after we are done.
Yes.
So
Yes, it's on my Facebook page for Lou Naylor, and you should be able to go back and rewatch it. I did want to mention there was a comment when you were going over your 4-H history. So for people who's not been in 4-H, or maybe they're going back into the workforce and 4-H has been 40 years ago, what would you suggest with that, Cooper? What should they use?
I would say you still would like to list it. Even though, like, I will say 4-H has changed a lot in that time frame, I would probably still mention it though, because, like I said, 4-H is very highly looked upon within an employer, and so, like, I think a lot of the things back then it was very centered around showing the animals and stuff like that. I would say that the showmanship aspect of it, actually having to learn how to show, let's say, like, I know chickens and pigs is big in 4-H, like knowing the correct way to show a chicken or show a pig, like um I think that's very good quality skills that a person is given. Plus I think it shows a lot of grit too, that they were able to work with that and really learn those tough skills of having to persevere through
Right.
4-H.
Right. But if they have not been in 4-H, maybe they were not in 4-H. So if they were in other clubs in high school or college, other civic organizations, church events, maybe they were Sunday school teachers, you can focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever you've done. You tailor it to yourself, whatever your experience is, but you always want to brag on whatever accomplishments that you have done, whether that be 4-H or basketball, football, baseball, science club, Spanish club, or any awards you've gotten in your jobs now. Maybe you've been in the workforce for a long time and you want to put down stuff more relevant to today, and so you always want to brag on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Do you have any more questions? No more questions?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, well, you did a great job, Cooper. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to email you and get back in touch with you. You all have a good day.